Oops. All right, cool. So the reason why I wanted to have, can you still see me or no?
You went black.
I know I have to, sorry, I'm just deleting. It asked me to delete something so that this could actually be stored in my memory bank of my back. Anyway, so yeah, the reason why I wanted to hop on with you, a couple of reasons. One is I'm trying to plan an event, and I know that you have planned a lot of events in your professional career,
Hmm.
and and then also I'm really trying to hone in on how to create a culture or to like do things with clear intentions of changing culture within
Mm.
like contained environments such as a chiropractic school or
Hmm.
yeah, chiropractic college. So anyway, that's just kind of where I'm coming from. This can be a non-linear conversation. I was just hoping to get some insights from you on sort of maybe you could kind of just give me a little background on sort of the sweet spot of how you work in this context, so to speak, or how you have worked in the past, or the environments you've worked in, and then like maybe just give me some game as to how I can maybe approach it a little more professionally or strategies of like identifying students because I have a lot of students at my disposal that I could put into positions where they have clear roles.
Hmm.
If I'm clear on what roles I need to identify or like what type of
Hmm.
team I need to build so that I can actually make an event possible because there's so many details involved and
Yeah, so many details. So, so I think about it in a couple different ways. The first thing I think about is like, okay, is this a one-off event or is this an ongoing series? If it's a one-off event, like what's the scale of this event? I'll break that down with like how like first of all, what's the focus? What's the topic? What do I want the outcome to be for the people who attend the event? Who's my ideal audience? Um, and where would I want to have this or like what type of space? I try not to limit it, you know, it's like the imagination size. The imagination time. So I try not to be like, what spaces are available to me, work within that realm, but really like, what type of space would I like to have this in, and then work backwards to figure out what you can do. Um, so I start with that if it's like an individual one-off event. If it's an ongoing series, I ask similar questions like, what's the focus of the series? What are people going to walk away with? A big question I ask on the logistics and operation side is like, is this a series that builds upon every prior event, or is this a series where they're kind of like it's a series but they're like one off, so you don't have to attend the prior one, you can just come to any event in the series? The second question that's sort of in tandem with that is like, is the series for the same people or can different people attend different parts of the series? So you kind of want to ask yourself all those questions to map out like, what is this for, who is this for, and then that helps you structure out some more like clarity around your topics, like your speakers, the programming, the engagement, and how it's going to operate as an event. So that's kind of where I start. um,
so just to kind of reflect back to you
mhm,
before we move to step two, because I feel like that was an encapsulation of just getting clear on what type of event it is. And
mhm,
just to reflect back to you kind of where I'm coming from, it's the type of an event that will be a series of events, but they are one-off events, and anybody can attend each event. They
okay,
don't build on each other. It's the same event every time, more or less,
okay,
or it's the same offering every
mhm,
time. And students just come away with feedback. Maybe they come away with a reflection page on their
mhm,
performance. Because at the end of the day, it's just providing an opportunity for students to get feedback from professionals
mhm,
based on their skill set. That's
gotcha.
what it is. It's like demonstrate your skill set. You'll get feedback. You'll participate in something. Um, and just by participating, it enriches your experience as a student and maybe helps refine or progress your skill set as a professional.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So sort of like a workshop with feedback for students in the chiropractic field, to get feedback and hands-on, teachings from experts. So awesome. So that's like really good to have that focus. And so then with from there, I would start thinking about how big do you want these classes to be? What type of attention do you want the students to have? Do you want it to be more curated where it's like 10 or less people, so it's more like one to one, or do you want it to be like 20, 30 people, or available per class? And then who do you want for the experts? Is it just you? Do you need to source other chiropractic experts, and how many? And then I would start thinking about what the programming would look like. Would it be starting with, you doing a demonstration and then the students following and showing what they know? Would it be you doing a demonstration and then the students pairing off into small groups and working with one another and then coming back to present something, or like, showcase their things? Would there be any talking moments of like, would it be a small lecture or an opening or slides, anything like that? So kind of figuring out that programming piece. And then once you have all of those pieces, that's going to help you figure out where you would have the event. Once you know like how the event's going to flow, if they're going to be breaking into groups, or if everybody needs a table, or if people are going one at a time, so using the same table, then you can figure out how big of a space you need. And then start kind of figuring out what spaces are available to you and how you can make your vision come to life in the physical.
That's great. Yeah, those are great questions. One of the things that I'm really I don't want to say struggling with, but I feel like moving from theory to actual real world, tangible, like this is what I want to do. Like I guess you would call it a project proposal or an event proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I'm working with a school and there's liability issues and there's budgetary issues, and it's appearing to me that they want me to, in as much succinctness as possible, put together a one pager
Mm-hmm.
that explains what the event is. And I guess I'm just curious, like what goes on that one pager that helps them make a decision of, yes, we want to help you actually put this on behalf of like us and
Mm-hmm.
you, or we would rather you just put this on and we could provide the facilities and the promotion.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for the one pager, basically you want to make that like a sponsorship offering doc. And I can email you like an example of one I recently did. And so basically what I would put on it would be like, the header of what the event is, and you want to be like as clear and succinct as possible. So this would be like, I don't know, like a teaching workshop for chiropractic students, or find a catchy name or title or whatever, like a networking and teaching workshop for chiropractic students. You'd have like one paragraph, maybe two short paragraphs. You want to keep it like very clean of just sort of like, what is this? And so an example, like I just did one for a dinner, and I just pulled it up in front of me. And so what I wrote, and I can send you this, it'd be like, Operator Collective is hosting a series of 4 intimate curated networking dinners in 2023 for C-level and VP executive members of the OPCO community. I listed like a couple big names because that's a draw for some of our sponsors, and then said very clearly, our goals are to connect excellent operators to forge a stronger community by creating access points to wealth creation and accelerating our collective success. So it's a lot of jargon, but it's the stuff that like we're going to banks and they're like, oh, you have VP people who are powerful, we want to give you money. And then a little paragraph about just like how it would operate. So we were put in here like, each dinner's attendees will be hand selected, purposely invited by OPCO to ensure diverse and impactful gatherings. Attendees will be encouraged to speak candidly about themselves, their careers, issues, in the industry and openly share where they need support. At the end, relationships will be deepened. OPCO will be better suited to make ongoing connections and future investments. And so that's just kind of like, okay, what is this event and why should I care about it? Then after that, you can add some specifics of like where it's happening, when it would happen, what the schedule looks like the agenda for the event, and then who's going to attend. Not the specifics, but just like it'll be 20 students who are on their, you know, last year, you know, ready to go into the field of practice. You know, write that who's attending, and then at the final part on the bottom, you put the sponsor opportunity. And so it would be like, you know, for mine, it was like you have the opportunity to sponsor all 4 dinners at $10,000 total. And the benefits would be like we promote you fully, you know, in all the pre and post event comms. You get 1 representative to attend each dinner if that's possible, as well as access to all the people who come to our dinners, like their bios and their contact info. And so you'll want to put together something like that. And then like for the school that you're working with, like the offerings, you know, I don't know, you'll have to figure out like what opportunity is going to benefit them, and kind of structure that, like what benefit comes to the school if they put this offering together. I don't know if there's a way to, you know, make these workshops like a credit based, or, you know.
No, it's more that by showcasing the talents of their students, the school could potentially gather media that could be used for promotional marketing purposes to attract more students to the school.
Mhm.
It could be used for like the monthly publications. It could be used for just reflecting to their stakeholders that they're fulfilling their mission as an institution to celebrate one of the core tenets of chiropractic through their students.
Mhm.
And it also helps students recognize they're getting more value from their education
Mhm.
by having these opportunities. Now, there is like 450 students, and I would say if promoted properly, it might attract 200 of them, like at
Mhm.
best. I'm not sure how many it would attract, but I think just to answer one of the things you touched on was like create like in your one pager you were sort of laying out the preparatory because like I feel like the next part of our conversation right now is going into like, okay, how do we actually prepare for the event, and like
Mhm.
leading up to the event, how do we ensure that people are knowing what we want from them. And I think that just to like kind of put it out there, not that this is a contest, but usually with contests, they put guidelines for how you can show up to the contest and
Mhm.
participate. So it's something more like that of like, you'll be given 5 minutes. These are the 3 categories that you'll be sort of given feedback on. So plan to have something either written out or plan to present something
Mhm.
in 2 minutes of like how you adjust people, why you adjust people, the style that you'll be demonstrating. That's kind of where I'm coming from of like trying to
Okay.
give students an opportunity to encapsulate in as efficient a way where they're at. And then what you said, which really hits for me, is like what they're wanting more feedback on, or what they're interested in really learning and growing.
Mhm. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I think like just getting that mapped out, and like it can just be bullets, you know, like what are the benefits of this workshop, of the series, and then getting those in bullets and then cleaning it up, and that's just going to go in your one pager. Yeah, and then you can kind of, it's like funny, you know, when I do events, and especially when I do events and like I need sponsorship, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, you know, like I put together like my one pager and I literally have no idea what my event is actually going to be. I have a vision and I hope it gets very close to that, but until I get the money, I can't really like secure the venue. So, you know, it's like I have to, you have to paint a picture of like what's the best that this could look like, and then give me the money to make this happen. and then
Mhm.
and then you
Yeah.
go from there.
No,
Mhm.
that's awesome. I think you kind of just helped me see that not only do I need a one pager for the school, but I need a one pager for my sponsors, my potential
Mhm.
sponsors.
Yep.
That would be really beneficial to have sponsorship money. Um,
Mhm.
And then, yeah, like what do the sponsors get for contributing at different levels? That's something that I need to kind of iron out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, it's a lot. This is why it's a full-time job. Shit.
It's a full-time job, I know. And the bigger events, the bigger the sponsorship. I'm doing an event in October, and my boss literally was like, "Yeah, I hope you can like raise $100,000 for it." And I was like, "I'm sorry, okay, I have work to do." Um, and, it's a tough
Wow.
time right now, even in the venture world. It's like the markets are low, so people are tight with their cash, and
Yeah,
it is what it is.
it is what it is. But you've had success in the past raising money. What are some of the sort of subtleties that you maybe see as a common thread from the people that do say yes? Or like, is it usually a series of like 3 or 4 emails and you really like answering their questions and talking them into giving you money to be a
Um,
sponsor? How does that work?
Yeah, it's usually a series of like 3 to like 6 emails, depending on like how much info people want to have. It's very rare that I'll like hop on the phone with someone. Sometimes they'll just be like, "Hey, I just need more info. Can we chat?" And I'm like, "Sure." I kind of prefer not to get on the phone because, again, like I said, it's kind of smoke and mirrors. And so I'm like, please don't ask me too many questions. Um, and generally people just want to know, like, in my industry, connections are everything. So people want to know who's going to be there and can they get in touch with that person. And so for us, like, one of the biggest benefits is always offering access to all these people. So say we have an event and 200 people come, it's like I can give you the guest list with their names and their email and their titles, and you can like reach out to people if you're trying to hire or connect them with like other firms, or other jobs. And that's always like a really big selling point.
But they
Yeah.
have to be a sponsor in order to get access to that list.
And
Is
they
what?
have to sponsor in order to get access to that list. And then the other one is like marketing. Sometimes we'll get cash sponsorships, but sometimes we'll get like swag sponsorships for like events. We always give goodie bags and stuff. And so we'll reach out to like different brands and be like, "Hey, we love your like, like your eye cream. We would love to like offer, we'd love to have you come on as a sponsor and like gift everyone in our community like a sample of your eye cream. And in exchange, like, we'll market it before the event, during the event. We'll do like pro photography of it during the event. We'll send you back everything. And then we can even capture a couple testimonials if you would like, and then brands will usually be like, "Oh, yeah, you have like rich people at your event and they're going to try my product." Like, that's hopefully will get me some sales. So, yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I think on my end, I'm like, we have like the money and the influence, and so that's kind of sells itself.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you have to figure out like what is on like your end, like what do you have that someone would want?
Mhm.
I don't know if other chiropractors in the field, are they looking for like apprentices? Like, would they enjoy having access to everybody who came to the event to reach out to them and find like an intern or something? That could be something that you offer. Yeah, so you kind of have to like figure that out and then like package it in a way that's like, you want this. And
Mhm.
sometimes you just tell them like, you want this, and they're like, "I guess I do." It's all sales at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm getting a little bit more and more intimidated by this undertaking the more we talk about it because I think it's actually a really good growth opportunity. I don't think it has to be that complicated. And I think that honestly, with like 3 to 5 hours of like focused,
Hmm.
dedicated work on the project with a little bit of feedback and refinement, it could actually all come together. But then, yeah. So let's talk about like leading up to the event, maybe 30 days out, 60 days out. How do we get good attendance? How do we potentially like serve our sponsors in a way that's do you serve like you're serving essentially like 2 or 3 different populations, right? Your
Hmm.
attendees, the sponsors, and then the company that you're working for.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I'd say like, depending on the size of the event, like 90 to 60 days out, you want to have like your venue secured, your vendors like in the process. So if you're bringing like any other speakers, any food, any entertainment, anything like that, you want to have that stuff secured or at least in the works, and mapped out. Um, definitely like 90 days out, you want to start getting the word out. You don't want to do it too early for like attendees because you know something like this type of event, like i- too early people will drop off. But like 90 days out, 90 to 60 days out is like a good time frame to like start getting that word out. That's gonna look like for you, obviously, like you have, I mean, depending on who you want for your attendees, like reaching out to them on whatever platforms you have, whether that's email, social media. If it's open to the public, you want to get that on social media and post it. So probably like Facebook, Instagram.
It's just going to be the student body, so it'll be either the school doing a student body wide email on behalf of me that I maybe script, or
Okay.
it'll be me asking the school, hey, can you share this for me?
Yeah. So then getting it in front of them. For people who are like signing up, you can always reach back out to like them and just be like, hey, would you mind like resharing this with some of your classmates? Like, would love to get attendance up. And that's always good for just like word of mouth and like getting more people to come in because the school might not do a grand job of marketing for you.
No.
So you'll probably have to rely on getting whoever's signing up to just like immediately reach out to them. Thanks for signing up. Share this link with like your
A
classmates.
little funnel, like a little
A
funnel
little, yeah, a little funnel to get that
activity.
out. And honestly, like number of like bumps, like just like rebumping someone. You know, if you, I'm a big fan of like the like 3 to 5 range, and I'm not even kidding. Like for an event, like I have to send emails like, hey, reminder, you still haven't RSVP'd. If you're not able to make it, just say no. But like otherwise, we have limited spots. And in your marketing, like create the FOMO that you have limited spots, sign up as soon as possible. The workshop will sell out. Like
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
say all of those things so people don't wait on it.
Do you find that charging like $10 or $20, like a low price point for admission, is it brings a certain attraction? Like we're talking about students that are investing 150 to 250,000 in their education, and so this is like a chance for them to do something extra. And
Mhm.
they're already stressed out and exhausted, and they have no bandwidth for stuff like this. But like, if we sell it, if we make it special, if we cater to them and give them this sense that, hey, I need to do this extra thing, you think that attaching a price tag, I know it could go both ways, but I mean, in a off the cuff, what do you think? You think I should put like a $20 admission fee and it comes with a T-shirt or something like that?
I wouldn't do the merch only
No.
because sometimes like swag gets wasted and it's really
Okay.
expensive and
Yeah.
t-shirts are always tough because of the sizing.
Yep.
But I think putting like a $15 to $20 like this is what it costs and then maybe adding like a no one turned away for lack of funds like caveat like would be beneficial. The
Mhm.
thing is the good thing about putting a ticket price is that you get more serious attendees. When you have a free event, a lot of people say they're going, and then day of, it's like over 50% have dropped off. And so that can be really discouraging. Whereas,
Yep.
like, if people paid, they're more likely to show up because they literally have skin in the game.
Yep.
So I think like something around like $15 and then being like, but like no one turned away. If you can't make it, like you can still register.
Mhm.
And I would have a registration for sure. It's something like on Eventbrite or a link where you can register and you can collect their names, their emails, their phone numbers, and just keep track of how many people are coming. So that way you can like start planning. If you notice you only have 15 signups and you're 30 days out, like you're gonna have to hustle to get more people. Whereas also if you notice you're 30 days out and you have like 300 people registered, like you might need to add some more events. So definitely have some sort of registration.
Mhm. And then like day of execution, or like week of,
Hmm.
what are some things that are on your checklist? What are some like little strategies that you have to um, just kind of cover your own ass, or to yeah, just show
Yeah.
up, come correct?
Yeah. So always want to double check any venue rules, make sure if I'm doing any load in, load out, I know the times for that and I have a schedule set for my day of. Make sure I send a reminder to any vendors as well as attendees what time they should be there, and like a rough agenda of what they should expect day of. If they need to bring anything specific, make sure you add that, like a little FAQ in your email. Like bring some water, things like that. Day of, I usually am just like running through. I mean, I'm always mad at my events. Like I'm just like running through every possible thing. There's always something wrong. But I'm like, again, I'm checking the setup's correct. We have whatever food AV if that's what we needed. We what else am I looking at? Decor, if there's anything like that, like that's just in the right place. But day of tends to be pretty chill. It's usually just setup, like setting up the room, setting up the chairs, the tables, and then again, making sure that, there's Wi-Fi if that's what I needed, that the bathrooms are available and clean. And if I need to print like a sign quickly or make one, to put an arrow and do that so people know where it is. But just making sure that when people walk in, they know like where it looks obvious where to go.
All right. And then
Yeah.
just to kind of honor your time and also wrap this up as like a little bonus side feature to this conversation, can you talk about like culture and maybe how you can blend an event into the fabric of the culture or really leverage the event to impact the culture in a container, like in a company or
hmm
in a school in this sense?
Yeah. Culture is like one of those things where it takes a lot of intention. And it happens whether you build it or not. And so, you know, to like influence the culture with your event, it certainly can be done. And I think it just takes a lot of intention. And that's kind of one, being clear of what type of influence are you trying to have? What is the message you're trying to spread in this event that you would want people to walk away with and like think differently when they're moving through their own, actions or process in this related to this event. Um, and so being really clear about that and then finding ways to like infuse it in there, like for people who are like, example, like really into like mindfulness, they might start off their talks with like a minute of breathing, or just like a 30 seconds. Hey, everybody take a deep breath in, feel your feet on the ground, take a deep breath out. And they might do that one or two times before they even start their presentation. And that's like a subtle influence. Like they didn't really say anything about mindfulness, but that's how they move. And so everything they do has that influence in it. And so, kind of like just thinking about what that is you want to share and finding a way to work it in. It doesn't have to be super overt, but it can be, it depends on what it is that you're trying to share.
Copy, copy. And then just as far as like zooming out big picture, if you're sort of managing the culture and of a company or of a group of people, are there any activities like monthly activities, weekly activities, quarterly activities, or strategies that you're trying to make like part of the fabric of like what people expect for being a part of this community? If that does that make sense?
I think so. There are some things. I try to set like expectations really clear, like this is what you'll get being a part of this community. But then also I always put it back on the community that this is your community. So like if you want to see something else, another activity, an event, a series, like tell me or self-organize and I can help. Because it only works if like you all work in it too. And so, for example, like I have a Slack group for some of my community at work, and I really wanted them to share opportunities, but they weren't doing it. And so I would start like sharing like once a week, hey, I saw this opportunity. It's incredible. If anyone's interested, here are the details. Like I'm just the messenger. And I would do that like once or twice or a few times. And then eventually people started like sharing their own, like, hey, I saw this. And so I had to like lead it a little bit, but now I open it and like every day someone's sharing an opportunity. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I don't know if that answers it, but just kind of like,
It does.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Leading by example with with what you would like to see them doing more of.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
I know it's work. It's all work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a chiropractor over here trying to change the whole profession, trying to adjust the profession because the profession doesn't seem to have very many people thinking outside of the box and asking new questions and creating new hierarchies of what the goals could look like if you're a professional or a student
Hmm.
or so yeah, anyway, I appreciate you giving me
Yeah,
some game this morning.
of course.
Yes. Any final thoughts from you or final questions or curiosities?
No, I mean, final thoughts, I'd say take it one piece at a time. Honestly, like structuring even that like one pager is going to be beneficial for you just to know what it is you're trying to do and for you to craft that in a way that feels good. Then from there, it's like, then you do your outreach to like the school and the sponsors. Then you get your invites ready, like to send out to like, to the students. Then you get your marketing materials, like if you need any additional ones. Then you figure out like the venue and the space, and then you host the event, and then you send like your thank yous and your follow-ups. And so it's like take it one piece at a time because it is a lot, but you ideally have enough time to do it all. Give yourself 3 6 months like to prep for this. And so and then it's always easier after the first one.
Definitely. Have you ever thought of curating or creating like an event that almost becomes its own business entity because it has like so much going on with it that you need people involved
Hmm.
that it generates enough revenue that it could be its own business like I guess an event. I don't want to call it an event planning company because you're not planning events, you're planning one
Yeah,
type
yeah, just
of event.
I get what you're saying. I have thought about that. And it's hard, obviously, like capitalism, you need the event where people are going to give the money, and so I've thought about it for like adventures and outdoor stuff because I host my friends a lot. Like I'll just be like, hey, I'm going to the Yuba, I can take 4 people in my car, and I'll bring them, and I'll have a whole day of like, I give them a packing list, and I set the experience, and like, we have an adventure and we come back, and I'm like, I could do this like for people and they could pay me to be like their adventure guide. But then I started thinking about scale. Like you said, you need other people. I would need like probably a van and bring like 8 to 10 people to make it worth the cost. And um, yeah. And so I mean, you gotta if you see the revenue as an opportunity, if you see that there's revenue actually as an opportunity, it can become its own thing. Um,
I
but
see.
definitely, again, I'd be like
Boils down
one
to
at a time.
I'm
One at a
always
time.
somebody put it to me really good the other day. They said I have Steve Jobs type ideas, but I don't have Steve Jobs money. So he's like,
It's hard. It's like you need a lot of it. And I feel like sometimes the best ones happen because you just did one and you're like, this was a success, I'm gonna do another. This was a success, I'm gonna do 3 4 5 more, and then suddenly it's like, hey, I might be onto something.
hmm,
But you don't often go into it thinking like, I'm gonna do this one because I'm launching a business with it,
yeah,
because it's like the cart before the horse. But it is good to think like what it could be.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's real. I'm
Yeah.
gonna wrap it at that.
All right.